That's right, guys. Yes, that is right. I have found my black fleece that you won't even know that I lost in the first place, but I found it and I'm so chuffed because I love it. It's lovely and warm. It has dog in training. I'll just show you again. It has dog in training on the back, which I love. Nice easy front zip thing. It's got my nice two tiny pockets, but it's lovely for the winter. It's ready for the winter. It's great to put under things, easy to clean. It's not massively thick, so if it's not too cold, I can wear it. Anyway, enough of that. It doesn't matter about my fleece. It does to me, but it doesn't matter. My point of this video is not my fleece. The point of this video is working with fearful, anxious, nervous, uncertain dogs. And what I want to share with you is my findings and my feelings towards working with them, and kind of what to do with them in certain circumstances. Now, what we're going to assume is that you're working with a dog that is unsure of something, or fearful of something, or anxious of something, and you know where their threshold is. So you know how far away you can go from that dog, or that person, or that item, or that thing. And so it's all about what do you do when you approach that what they call aversive stimulus or stimuli, the thing they don't like. What do you do when you get to that thing they don't like? Well, it's really important, as long as you're within that boundary, that threshold, that you're not encroaching into that kind of red zone place where the dog will just freak out and there's no coming back from there. Incidentally, if you do get to that point, you just need to get out of it and then maybe revisit it that day if you can, if the dog calms down from it, but otherwise come back to it another day when the dog has completely forgotten about it, and you revisit it again. But you're trying to limit the amount of really negative experiences where possible. You're trying to limit them, obviously, at all costs. Now, when we work with dogs that are fearful, anxious, or uncertain, just like Bled here, who's very unsure of lots of things, you mate. I mean, for instance, we had a little, not an episode, I wouldn't call it an episode, but it was just a little thing that he didn't like earlier, where I was just getting something from the office, he was with me, he didn't like the jacket that was in the office as I opened the door. The jacket rubbed up against another jacket, and there was a waterproof jacket, and it kind of made a rustling noise. He really didn't like that, and he backed away, and I couldn't get his attention back in that environment, so I had to get him out of there. I had to work with him a little bit outside, but what I did, instead of coming away altogether, I tried to bring him back in again to see if he would cope with it again, which he did. He came around and he was fine then afterwards, so that was really good. It was a great, fine finish to that experience in the end. Over just a 10-minute period window, I was able to kind of get him used to that, what we would consider an easy thing to be comfortable with. For him, it was very difficult. He couldn't cope with that. He didn't know what that was. So I had to convince him that it was just a jacket making a noise and nothing more. I'm not to say that he's completely over that. He may do that again, or likely he will do that again. So we have to do that several times. But I know that's one thing that could be worked on. So all too often, I see people making mistakes with their dogs when the dog is nervous or scared, and this is true for puppies as well. I mean, so many people with puppies are dragging their pups, and I'm not saying everybody, of course not. Well done, Blair. Well done, buddy. What I see with new puppies is often people are dragging them, trying to kind of force them to complete the task of either walking around the park, or which is not necessary, or walking from somewhere to somewhere else, and they have to get there. You know, the person, the handler, has to do this. They have to get there, and the dog has to do it. And the dog is, you know, if the dog doesn't do it, then the dog is winning or whatever. Now, when you're dealing with a dog that's unsure, and this applies to pups as well, new puppies, it's always about making sure they're comfortable in the environment they're in. And yes, that does mean you have to expose them to the aversive stimuli, the thing they don't like so much, in order to make it a fun, pleasant, good experience. But you have to do that within threshold. You have to understand how close you can get, how far away you can get from that object, item, thing, whatever it is. So you need to bear this in mind, and when you're working with scared dogs or fearful dogs, it's not about forcing them to do something, it's about coaxing them and making them feel comfortable in the environment they're in, and then repeating that again until they're completely fine with it. And then again, the perception, your perception of what the dog is comfortable with is not what the dog's perception is. The dog may see something that you think is absolutely normal and should be able to cope with it because you can understand it, you can comprehend what is going on, you can make heads or tails of what's going on, whereas the dog can't. The dog has to experience it, and it has to be good or bad experiences. You can't talk to a dog about an experience. You can't explain to a dog verbally that this is okay, there's nothing to worry about. You have to prove it to a dog. You have to prove to a dog that the experience they're going to have is fun or not. And obviously you never want to prove it's not going to be fun necessarily, but you do want to prove that it is going to be a fun experience. And it's something I do with my guys so much, even now, even with the oldest who are like 10, 11 years old, and hey, in fact 11, 12 years old this year. Next year they're 12 years old, wow. That I still expose them to things that they otherwise may not like, such as dogs being aggressive, barking, lunging, all that kind of thing. I don't mean they go right next to them, but they are aware that they're there, and they could be within feet of the dog that would otherwise scare another dog. And the reason I need that is because I want them to be able to cope with that when I work with other dogs. I don't force them to do it. I don't make them unhappy whilst they're doing it. They're quite happy doing this training, but I have to make it a worthwhile experience for them. Otherwise, they're not going to enjoy it. Nothing ever happens. They never get bitten. You can't change. You can't change that experience. You know, it's impossible to change the experience of a bite to a pleasant thing. You can't change that experience. So, you know, if I threw a brick at your head 10, 15, 20, doesn't matter how many times I throw a brick at your head, each time I throw it, it's going to hurt until it knocks you out. So, you know, there's certain things you can't change that experience of, because it is what it is, and the pain that's inflicted upon you when you experience that, the discomfort, whatever, that will never really change. So, but we can change perceptions of things. So what we think is going to be bad, or what we think is going to be good, whatever. And that's what we're doing with the fearful, scared dogs. We're trying to change their idea of what they think. And it's really about working with them. Don't work against them. Make sure that you understand their threshold. Make sure they're comfortable to get to that point. You know, up your training, get your training in place, and be sure to just take your time when you're working with a scared dog. You do not have to go from point A to point B. It's not necessary. You just start in point A, and wherever you end up is wherever you're going to end up at that moment. Get them comfortable, make them happy with what they're doing at that moment, and then you start pushing a little bit more, and just try and get them over that boundary and that threshold of being scared of whatever it is they're scared of. Anyway, guys, if you like this video, please subscribe. In fact, if you don't like it, still subscribe. Please subscribe to my channel. That'd be great. Press the subscribe button and the bell button, because the bell button apparently tells you when I have posted a video, which is great, which is fantastic. I really want to be pushing more on my YouTube stuff, so I will be uploading as much as I can to my YouTube channel. So please subscribe to the channel. If you've got any questions, any comments, any thoughts, please pop them in the comments below, and I will speak to you again soon. Okay, guys, take care. Have a great day. Whatever you're doing, bye for now.